Shalom and greetings from Jerusalem, Jane. Today is a very special day in Israel. There is not one eye dry in the Holy Lands. There's a funeral taking place which is being broadcast on all mainstream media. And right now, a friend of the family, a famous Israeli singer, is singing at this funeral. In 2014, the Israeli military had an operation inside Gaza called Protective Edge. Numerous young Israeli soldiers were killed in that operation. The day after a ceasefire came into effect, Hamas terrorists killed Israeli soldiers and dragged their bodies into Gaza and was held captive for 11 years. Today, the funeral is taking place for Lieutenant Hadar Goldin. His body was returned only a few days ago after being held captive inside Gaza for 11 years, and that's the funeral that is taking place right now. It's very emotional. The chief of staff said today we can finally say that Operation Protective Edge is over. And of course, this is a funeral with full military honor. So may his memory forever be a blessing. May he rest in peace. May God comfort his family. His parents had traveled all over the world, speaking to governments all over the world, saying, Hamas has held our son's body hostage for 11 years. Where is the pressure from the rest of the world to get their precious son home? And now he's home, being led to rest in Israel. So this is a funeral that I have said for all the years that I have lived here. When that day comes, I will be there. But as I announced in my update yesterday, a curveball was thrown at me only a few days ago, and that's why there's a suitcase over here. I have to pack up and move actually immediately because of some legal issues in this apartment. I have to pack up and move. So in a few days, this apartment is turned upside down, and I'm doing the very best. I'm packing as quickly as I can, but naturally you can't move until you have found a new home. So will you just lift this urgent prayer request in front of the throne of the Lord and just pray and say, God, Jerusalem, Jane need housing literally now. It's also very expensive to get new apartment with real estate agent and deposits and all of that. And I really need all the help and support that I can get at this time to find a new home. I also shared in my video update, I showed you the sheets that I was sleeping in. Follow your dreams, they will lead the way, and live your dreams. My dream and the way that I believe God is leading me into in 2026 is to have a podcast out of Israel, a professional podcast where we go into a studio and we are recording, and then you can listen to it in your car or when you do laundry or doing dishes. But also my hope and prayer is that it will be filmed, so it will be a recorded, filmed video podcast that also goes out on all my social media. And who knows, maybe one day we can do those live. That would be incredible. I hope I can make a couple of those every week. So that's the goal. That's what I'm moving forward to. And my hope and dream actually is that one day in my podcast studio, I can interview the family of Hadar Goldin, who is now being finally led to rest in Israel after held hostage. His body was held hostage inside Gaza. So I have so many ideas, so many people I would like to talk to in my podcast. Wouldn't it be remarkable if I was allowed to talk to a former Mossad or Shin Bet agent? I know there's a lot of things they can't talk about, but there are things they can talk about. Being an agent here in Israel, around the world. I would also like to talk to a security expert and hear about the Bieber and pager attack, where we took out all of these Hezbollah terrorists. How did that really happen? The head of Nasrallah We took him out. I mean, what Israel has accomplished is just incredible. So there are so many people I would like to talk to. But as this funeral is taking place now, cemeteries in Israel are full with graves of young Israeli soldiers below the age of 30 who was killed in battle defending the Jewish homeland. Cemeteries in Israel are filled with terror victims who were brutally murdered for no other reason than being Jewish. And with my podcast platform, I want their stories to be told. I want their names and testimonies to be heard all over the world, the things you don't hear in mainstream media. In order for this podcast to come along, I need sponsors, I need donors, so I'm boldly just reaching out to philanthropists, organizations, synagogues, churches, anyone in the Jewish world who says, wow, this is a podcast we want to get behind. This is called Heartfelt Conversations from Israel. These are stories about our people that mainstream media is not sharing, that we need to get out there through all the noise and against the lies and propaganda coming against Israel. So I'm also looking for donors in the Christian world, the rest of the world who says we need to get behind this. We need to enable that this podcast can come about, that Jane has the finances, the studios. So I get up, I go to work, I go into my office with a computer and a desk and a printer, and I have an assistant I'm looking for the right assistant who's gonna deal with all the technical issues that I don't know anything about. So there are so many plans, but in order for all of this to come to pass, I need sponsors and donors and people who say, we wanna donate, we wanna sow into this podcast because we believe this can make a difference for Israel and the Jewish people. And I'm only just making myself available, being a vessel and a tool, and say, that's what I would use my platform for. Also hoping to speak to Israeli diplomats, current and former ambassadors. Maybe I will be able to speak to some of the tough guys who is in undercover units, the ones who dress up as Arabs and then they go out and arrest terrorists deep in the heart of Arab cities. Wouldn't that be absolutely interesting? We are going to talk about the Hamas Nukba terrorist who is sitting in Israeli prisons, the court cases against them. What about death penalties to terrorists? So many things that I would like to do with my podcast, and also continue to do current news updates, inviting people from the security establishment to help me talk about all the things that's happening. So as Israel right now is coming together, mourning the beloved son of Israel, Hadar Goldin, being laid to rest, we bow our heads and we honor and we remember him. And I'm sending my heartfelt condolences and sympathy to his family, who can finally put their son to rest after battling for him for 11 years. I will attach my donation platform, my email address, both for anyone who want to help and sow into the podcast, but also anyone who want to help and sow into me finding a new apartment, any leads for a fully furnished apartment here in Jerusalem as soon as possible for Jerusalem Jane. May God bless you. United we stand with Israel. Bye.